Nutrition in plants. Lesson preview. Modes of nutrition in plants. Autotrophic nutrition. Photosynthesis. Cactus plants. Photosynthesis in plants having colored leaves. Algae. Heterotrophic nutrition. Parasitic plants. Insectivorous plants. Saprophytic plants. Symbiotic plants. Restoring of nutrients in the soil. We have already learnt in the previous class that all living things need food for growth, repairing damaged tissues, getting energy for life processes in the body. We have also learnt that various components of our food are carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, minerals, roughage, and water. These components of food are called nutrients. They provide us with energy and help us to perform various life activities. Plants can prepare their own food, but animals and human beings cannot do so. They obtain food from plants or plant-eating animals. Thus, animals and humans directly or indirectly depend upon plants for food. Modes of nutrition in plants. The process of taking in food by an organism and its utilization by the body is called nutrition. All living organisms need energy to perform various activities. They get this energy from food. The food which they eat is broken down into simpler substances to get energy. The mode of nutrition in all living organisms can be divided into two categories, based on their food habits. Autotrophic nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition. The mode of nutrition in which organisms make their own food from simple non-living substances is called autotrophic nutrition. Auto equals self, and trophy equals nourishment. We have already studied that green plants make their own food through a process called photosynthesis. Hence, green plants are called autotrophs. Have you wondered which parts of the plant are involved in making the food? From where do they get the raw materials, or how is the food transported to various parts of the plant? Let us find the answers of these questions. Photosynthesis. Leaves are the food factories of a plant. They prepare their own food, so it is necessary for the raw materials to reach there. They make food from carbon dioxide and water in the presence of chlorophyll, a green pigment, and sunlight. This process is called photosynthesis. Photo equals light, synthesis equals to combine. We can write the reaction as 6CO2, carbon dioxide, plus 6H2O, water, sunlight, chlorophyll, C6H12O6, glucose, plus 6O2, oxygen. The following four things are required for photosynthesis. Chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the green pigment present in the leaves. It is found in structures called chloroplasts. It helps leaves to capture energy from sunlight, which in turn is used to synthesize food from carbon dioxide and water. Sunlight. Light energy is absorbed by chlorophyll. Carbon dioxide. Leaves absorb carbon dioxide from air through tiny pores present on their surface called stomata. They are surrounded by guard cells, which regulate the opening and closing of stomata. Water. Water and minerals from the soil are absorbed by the roots and transported to the leaves. This transportation takes place through pipe-like vessels, called xylem, present in roots, stems, branches, and leaves. During photosynthesis, solar energy is converted into chemical energy. This shows that sun is the ultimate source of energy for all living organisms. Oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis, which is essential for the survival of all living organisms. Plants store their food in the form of starch, carbohydrate. Leaf. Stomata. Chloroplast. Stoma. Guard cells. Light energy. Carbon dioxide. Oxygen. Water from the soil. Chlorophyll, present in leaf. Cactus plants. The desert plants like cacti have spines instead of leaves. Spines help the plant to reduce loss of water by transpiration. Cacti have green stems which carry out photosynthesis. Photosynthesis also takes place in green branches. Activity. Take two potted plants with green leaves. Keep one plant in the sun and the other in a dark room. Perform the iodine test with the leaves of both plants after 48 hours. Now keep both the potted plants in sunlight. Repeat the iodine test after 3-4 days. Note down your observations. What do you conclude? Photosynthesis in plants having colored leaves. You must have seen plants with colored leaves, such as croton plants. These plants also contain chlorophyll. However, the amount of red, brown or yellow pigment present in these leaves masks the green color. Photosynthesis also takes place in these colored leaves. Algae. Have you seen green patches on the surface of ponds or lakes? These are due to the growth of plants called algae. They are green in color as they contain chlorophyll. They can also manufacture their own food through photosynthesis. Synthesis of nutrients other than carbohydrates by plants. As we have seen, plants produce carbohydrates which are made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. They are used for the synthesis of proteins and fats. For the synthesis of proteins, plants also require nitrogen. From where do they get this nitrogen? Although nitrogen is present in air up to about 78%, plants cannot use this free nitrogen. There are some free-living nitrogen-fixing bacteria called rhizobium in the soil and in root nodules in plants which convert this free nitrogen into a form which can be used by the plants. Plants absorb this soluble form along with water through their roots. Farmers also add nitrogen-rich fertilizers to the soil. Plants are then able to synthesize other components of food like fats and proteins. Heterotrophic nutrition. The mode of nutrition in organisms that cannot make their own food and depend upon others, plants or plant-eating animals, is called heterotrophic nutrition. Heteros equals others. Animals including humans who depend on plants for their food are called heterotrophs. Heterotrophic plants are of 4 types. 1. Parasitic plants. 2. Insectivorous plants. 3. Saprophytic plants. 4. Symbiotic plants. Parasitic plants. Plants which live on other plants and obtain their food from them are called parasitic plants. The organism from which a parasite derives its food is called a host. Examples: Cuscuta, amarbel, does not have chlorophyll. It has yellow tubular structures which wrap around the stem and branches of a tree. It takes ready-made food from the tree on which it climbs. Another example is mistletoe, which has green leaves that can synthesize food. They take only water and minerals from host plants. These are called partial parasites. Insectivorous plants. There are some plants which can even eat insects. They are called insectivorous plants. These plants are usually green in color. Their leaves are modified to trap insects. Examples: pitcher plant and Venus flytrap. In pitcher plant, the leaves are modified into a pitcher-like structure with a lid. The tip of the leaf is modified to form a lid which can open and close the mouth of the pitcher. The inside of the pitcher is lined with downward pointing hairs that do not allow the trapped insect to escape. As soon as an insect enters the pitcher, the lid closes. The pitcher secretes digestive juices that digest the insect. Though the pitcher plant is green, it feeds on insects. This is because the pitcher plants grow in areas where the soil is deficient in nitrogen. The plant gets nitrogen by trapping and eating insects. Saprophytic plants. Saprophytic plants are those plants which cannot make their own food. They obtain their nutrition from dead and decaying plant and animal matter. They are non-green fungi which cannot carry out photosynthesis. Examples are different types of fungi such as mushrooms, mold, and yeast. You must have seen umbrella-like structures growing on logs of wood during the rainy season. These structures are called mushrooms. They secrete digestive juices on the dead and decaying matter and convert it into a solution. They then absorb the nutrients from it. This mode of nutrition is called saprophytic nutrition. Activity. Moisten a piece of bread with water. Keep it in a closed box at a warm place. Observe the piece of bread after 2-3 days. You will notice a white cottony growth on it. This growth is due to a fungus called bread mold, which appears as cotton-like threads if observed with a magnifying glass. In rainy season, you must have seen white patches on your unused leather shoes and bags which were left in the hot and humid weather. These white patches are also due to fungi. The spores of fungi circulate in air. When they settle on wet and warm things, they germinate and begin to grow. Symbiotic plants. Some plants live in association with other plants or fungi, and share shelter and nutrients. Both gain from each other. Such plants are called symbiotic plants, and the relationship is called symbiotic relationship or symbiosis. Example: many plants form associations with mycorrhizal fungi. These fungi live in the roots of trees. The tree provides nutrients to the fungi. The fungi in return provide certain nutrients from the soil to the tree, protection against disease and toxicity. Another example is lichen, which is a symbiotic relationship between a green alga and a non-green fungus. The alga is an autotroph and provides food to the fungus. Fungus provides shelter, water, and minerals from the soil to the alga. Restoring of nutrients in the soil. Plants get nutrition from the soil. Since they continuously grow in the soil, the amount of nutrients in the soil declines. In forests, these nutrients are replenished naturally by decaying dead plants and animals. However, on a farm, manures or fertilizers are added by the farmers to replenish the nutrients in the soil. These manures and fertilizers contain nutrients like nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, etc. These nutrients need to be added from time to time to maintain the fertility of the soil and for a healthy crop yield. Usually, crops require a large amount of nitrogen to make proteins. We can grow leguminous plants like gram, moong, beans, peas, etc. in the fields. Rhizobium bacterium, which lives in the roots of leguminous plants, can take in atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into a soluble form in the soil, which can be absorbed by the plants. Rhizobium cannot prepare its own food. The leguminous plants provide food to it. Thus, a symbiotic relationship exists between leguminous plants and rhizobium. In this way, the farmers do not need to add nitrogen fertilizers to the soil to restore nitrogen content where leguminous plants are grown.